squeezed them both together.
Thank you.
I'm gonna, here's one of the posters that, or the poster that they did for my opening. And I thought Aaron, the gentleman at the reference desk, he did an amazing job. So I was really proud of it. And I disseminated it all over the world and to the local rags, both of whom named me. So I'm happy about that. I'm going to read you my artist statement and see if I agree with it. My work is drawn from my rich inner world, which I call the ethers or the Nether lands. This region is populated with mythological beasts and otherworldly creatures. Sometimes the paintings represent an uncanny landscape, then a practical sense of justice. The pieces, mostly acrylic and mixed media, are drip paintings, or they're completed with palette knife or other raw materials and brushes. These works usually incorporate found items. And I said I'm a multi-talented creative who moved to Santa Fe from Wichita, Kansas. I received my MFA in poetry under Albert Goldbarth. I'm also a playwright, and I've studied film, and I have a passion for art. I just have a passion for creativity. If in doubt, create. And I know others of you agree with that, if not all of you. And I'm going to read a few poems, maybe not all of them, and let you know the weird way that this collection of art and poems and a play that was performed at the Fearless Female Voices Festival here in town. We're all inspired by my former teacher. His name is Sean Singer. He lives in New York City, and he's a big jerk. But he inspired all of this stuff. So I might thank him someday if he ever stops, blocking me out. And but in the meantime, he really has inspired a lot in me, and it'll get back to him. Here's a poem called "Here Lies the Neanderthal King." They say he liked baby's breath and purple penstemon in spring, when the cold creek thawed and the grass was tall and green, where his soft tongue broke the bone of my longing, and the heat of his breath crushed and purpled under the Neanderthalness of his city, and his hips rose up in lights to meet me. Before he died, his hands bloomed petunia, magnolia, bougainvillea around my heart's left ventricle, and made me wonder why the water, when it has no choice to stay frozen, still doesn't refuse to return to earth. Clap after everyone. We'll leave here all night. A lot of these poems were written through workshops here in Santa Fe from various poet laureates, including, you may know, I hope you do know, Darrell Lorenzo Wellington, who's one of my good friends, and he was supposed to be here, and then also Tommy Archuleta, who's the current poet laureate, and he said he would be here too. I think I'm learning in Santa Fe, just say you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
Cry. You say you make a cry like something indiscernible, mysterious, desert at night, far out along the silver foothills, and places where chamisa and sage glow untouched. It's not fair to make a noise like that, not on your wedding night, not at the skirt of your marriage bed and heather gathered in the bridal chamber. Not at all. A sound like that is for something Neanderthal, something woolly mammoth. It crouches over ice and sand and grunts in caves and netherlands. Those other varmints are not allowed here along the burning gates. It's here, this wild country, here in my arms, you find the brutish flesh and mammalian longing. Black Lagoon. Which is that animal? So remote, so scales and mouth below the wavered surface. Which place is the lagoon? The heart? Of course not. So thick the murk, so sick in paradise, of flood and labyrinth. How you judge me so kindly. Here in my sandcastle, you stoop to judge me. I judge myself. No small ratio with so little jaw motion of reach, though no small fraction of stretch beneath a prism's toss. I don't give a shit what you think. I am that animal. Hear me bawl, then gash the ever-loving fuck out of the pulse, tender, vulnerable, trembling, lonely, soft, moist, heavy, light, thick, animal. Above the long hedgerow of old elms, as if this were the first time nighttime. Young, but there were cages. Wind swept my hair, summer, morning glory slept, and all life ahead. His favorite was waking to the lion's roar in the dark of the night house, like the train ran past through the field by our place. He broke my reverie to show me the sky, a finger pointing away to the moon, a finger pointing away to the moon. And I'll have one more after this. So this is my second class. Hidden Creek. Now I look at the hidden creek, cold and stony, thick with rush. Here the breeze is not the breeze. The distance echoes back the trill of his lisp and yellow-foamed jealousy. I had trapped him in the snare of my arms to where one body lay down and only a thin straw of breath, reflection, refraction, but now bones and teeth and curl of hips sink deep into memory and ocean's sand tide, and the cold leviathan of love, the red tide. And I'll need the phone in a minute, but I wanted to tell them our exciting story. We are an example of the show must go on. We live about a little over a mile away, and we filled my car up with art, and we started the car and pulled back, and there was a loud thump and drag, and he got out of the car and looked, and that was his first mistake. And apparently our tire is super flat, and it was our first trip to the library with our work, and so I parked, and with phone calls and crying and screaming and crying, and then I came up with a brilliant idea, the one I did not want, and that was to carry them all here. We carried each one of those big paintings together. We made many trips, brought it in, hung what we could, and then went back for more. And by the time I was done doing all that exercise, I felt better. So it was just like, no, we have to do this. You know, we had already said we were, so you are our hero. And just appreciate it, because, you know, really sometimes we don't see what performers go through, or artists, or whatever kind of artists go through to have their work shown. And I'm just so grateful that you were here to appreciate it. So, and I'm gonna grab one more poem off my phone.
All right.
We're still on.
Okay.
Do as you would.
Okay, I have to turn it off. We have a YouTube channel. Darren has known me for over 10 years, and we have a YouTube channel together, so we're gonna put everything out there in front of the world anyway, so let's see.